automotive sector is set for more job cuts. Car makers are bringing new models to Europe. And a new battery gigafactory is planned for the UK. This is the Automotive Update, presented by Autovista24. I'm Autovista24 journalist Tom Hooker, and you're listening to the Automotive Update, where we explore some of the week's biggest headlines. First up, Skoda wants to cut 15% of its workforce, according to Automotive. The manufacturer employs around 41,000 people, meaning that this could equate to a loss of 6,150 jobs. However, Skoda's CEO, Klaus Selmer, highlighted that natural fluctuation is the focus, not job cuts. Audi, another VW Group brand, is aiming to reduce personnel costs by €1 billion a year, according to Handelsblatt. As part of a reorganisation process, the carmaker also wants to cut material costs by up to €8 billion by 2030. This equates to an average of €1.6 billion a year. The report from the German newspaper said that jobs are to be massively cut, additional benefits cancelled, and services outsourced. In Germany, Audi employees have a job security programme which runs until 2029, preventing redundancies. This means that the company will have to rely on severance payments, voluntary redundancies, or retirement to reduce its workforce. The news comes as the Mark ended production at its Brussels plant on Friday. Aston Martin said it would cut around 5% of its global staff to lower costs and boost future investments, as reported by Reuters. The brand expects to save about £25 million or €31.3 million from the job cuts. Aston Martin has also pushed back the launch of its first battery electric vehicle, or BEV, to the latter part of this decade. Last year, it delayed the model's launch to 2026, citing a lack of consumer demand. Meanwhile, Mercedes-Benz plans to cut 25% of workforce costs in China by 2027, according to Reuters. An anonymous source said there would be a 10 to 15% staff reduction in its sales, finance, IT service and legal departments. The company employs around 5,000 people in China, including 2,000 workers in its R&D division that will not be affected by the cuts. In the UK, Nissan has cancelled night shifts on one production line at its Sunderland plant, as reported by the BBC. A spokesperson for the company said no jobs would be lost because of the changes. Multiple manufacturers have announced new models that are coming to Europe. This includes Kia, who revealed the EV4. The BEV will be offered with a 58.3 kWh or 81.4 kWh battery. For the sedan variant, this equates to a 430 km range for the smaller battery, while the latter provides a range of 630 km. Meanwhile, the hatchback has a long-range projection of 590 km, according to WLTP standards. The EV4 can charge from 10% to 80% in 31 minutes, and also features vehicle-to-load and vehicle-to-grid functionality. The hatchback is primarily aimed at the European market, meaning that it will only be produced in Slovakia, with a model launch expected in the second half of 2025. The carmaker also unveiled the Kia Concept EV2, a vision of an upcoming B-segment BEV. The SUV has a multi-configurable interior and innovative rear-hinged back doors. It is expected to launch in Europe and other regions in 2026. Both models were presented at Kia's EV Day alongside the PV5. This is the marque's first platform beyond vehicle, or PBV model, which was shown in 4 variants. Kia will get a helping hand from Samsung, which has partnered with the brand to work on PBVs. Speaking at the event, the company's president Ho Sung-song also confirmed that the carmaker is internally studying what an entry-level electric model would look like, according to Autocar. Next up, Lynk & Co has revealed its 08 plug-in hybrid for Europe. The D-segment SUV features a 1,100 km range, with 200 km of this possible on electric power alone. The model can go from a 10% charge to an 80% charge in 33 minutes. It will go on sale in Europe in June 2025. Lastly, Audi will host the world premiere of its A6 Avant on March 4th, while Toyota has announced it will reveal a new BEV with a coupe design on March 12th. We hope you're enjoying this episode so far. As the Autovista 24 podcast is hosted on Spotify, you can let us know your thoughts on the app. We are also available on Apple Podcasts and Amazon Music. But no matter where you listen, be sure to subscribe. And check out Autovista 24's YouTube channel as well. There you'll find our What Is Explainer videos, launch report series, and webinar recordings. Speaking of which, don't miss out on Autovista Group's next webinar, where industry experts will discuss the 2025 EV outlook. I'll leave a sign-up link in the show notes below. Finally, sign up for our daily email at the bottom of our homepage to ensure you never miss out on exclusive content from Autovista 24. Now, back to the headlines. The UK could see a gigafactory built by former British Volt shareholders and a Chinese supplier, according to the Financial Times. The battery manufacturing site aims to have a capacity of 10 gigawatt hours and generate more than 1,000 jobs by 2030. If successful, the venture between UK company Volklek and Far East Battery would become the UK's only large-scale independent battery manufacturer. Wanting to avoid the failures of British Volt, which collapsed in 2023, Volklek instead plans to begin on a smaller scale by producing battery cells for e-bikes and energy storage. The venture will then target automotive, aerospace, and marine power cell production in 2026. Tesla has applied for a permit in California, usually associated with chauffeur-operated services, as reported by Reuters. This represents the first phase of a series of regulatory approvals required for the brand to eventually launch a Robotaxi service. Tesla currently has the approval to test autonomous vehicles with a safety driver in California. However, it does not have a permit for driverless testing or operations from the state's Department of Motor Vehicles. The manufacturer would need this documentation to apply for a driverless taxi service in California. Mercedes-Benz has begun road testing solid-state batteries. The company claims the technology is safer, lighter, more efficient, and offers a 25% longer range in its test vehicle, a modified EQS. Formula One and passenger car engineers have developed and patented the solid-state battery pack, which gives its development vehicle an expected range of over 1,000 kilometers. The EU is planning to ask India to lower its high tariffs on cars, among other products, to increase trade between the two regions while looking to reduce its reliance on China, according to Reuters. An anonymous senior EU official said that the Indian market is relatively closed, especially to key products of commercial interest to the European Union and our member states' industries, including cars. The official also said that the EU would press India to broaden market access for its products. If you want to read more about the stories covered in this episode, then head over to the show notes, where you'll find a link to our companion article on Autovista 24. This episode was co-produced and fact-checked by Autovista 24 special content editor Phil Curry. Additional thanks go to Autovista 24 editor Tom Gegas and web editor James Roberts. That's all we have time for this week, but be sure to sign up to the Autovista 24 daily email and subscribe to this podcast on your preferred audio platform. Thank you very much for listening to the Autovista 24 podcast.